I tried quantum jumping for 24 hours, and this is what happened. Let's be real. Quantum jumping has always sounded like a spiritual buzzword or wishful thinking, right? The idea that you could pour water from one glass to another and just leap into a parallel universe where all your problems are fixed. It felt like something straight out of scientific movie, right? Not a serious self-help technique. But what if there is something to it? What if reality is little more flexible than we think? Now, I'm a natural skeptic. I need to see something to believe it. So I decided to put the most popular quantum jumping method to the test for a full 24 hours. Honestly, I was prepared for it to be a complete waste of time to just end up with two wet glasses and the same old reality. But what actually happened was so unexpected, so subtle, yet so powerful that I knew I had to share it. The results were genuinely shocking, and they started unfolding in ways I never could have predicted. Before we get into the experiment, you need to understand the headspace I was. A year or so back, for very few months, I have just felt stuck, not in a big dramatic, my life is falling apart way. It was quieter, a monotonous, uninspired. I was working in a company with a good pay and exposure, but I was not fully into it. I have to do this, and I am doing it kind of monotonous work. I was just going through the motions. My days had fallen into this predictable rhythm that was comfortable, sure, but also deeply unfulfilling. I felt like I was walking on a treadmill, putting in all the effort, but going absolutely nowhere. This was the scenario. Manifestation concept in quantum physics all felt like toxic positivity, a way to spiritual bypass real problems. The philosophy, as I understood, is loosely inspired by quantum physics, specifically the many world interpretation that countless parallel universes exist at one single time. The idea is that every possible outcome creates its own universe. So, quantum jumping is not about physically vanishing and then reappearing at a different timeline. It's sold as a way to shift your consciousness from your current reality to a better timeline that already exists. I have experienced quantum jumping personally and have manifested different timelines, which was not supposed to happen at the first place. To me, I have to test, recheck, and validate for myself again. So I set a clear intention for my 24-hour experiment. I did try the technique with open but critical mind and document any changes, no matter how small or coincidental. My goal was not to manifest $1 million or a new car or a new home. It was much simpler. I wanted to shift from a state of monotonous stagnation in my job to a reality filled with inspiration, flow, and unexpected opportunities. That was it. I took a before snapshot of my life, uninspired, bored, and very doubtful. To do my quantum jumping, I went with the most popular ritual out there. What it is? Two cup methods. It's basically a physical ceremony that represents a mental and energetic shift. Now, I have to be crystal clear about this. This is a ritual based on a belief system. There is zero scientific evidence in actual quantum physics to suggest that this can physically alter reality or let you access parallel universe. Its core, it's a powerful, focused intention exercise. But the theory behind is what make it so compelling. Here is how it works. You need two cups, sticky notes, a pen, and some water. Deceptively simple, right? First, you label your cup. Cup one is your current reality. You write a word or phrase that sums up the situation you want to change. For me, that was stagnation and uninspired. You fill this cup with water, which symbolically holds the energy of your current state. Cup two is your desired reality. On the other sticky note, you write down the reality you want to shift into. I wrote creative flow and opportunity. This cup starts out empty. The ritual itself is all in the pour. You take a moment to really feel your current reality, the frustration and boredom in that first cup. You just acknowledge it. Then, with a powerful intention, you pour the water from the current reality cup into the desired reality cup. This is the jump. It's very simple. The idea is that you're consciously redirecting your energy and focus, tuning yourself into the frequency of that desired timeline. The physical act is a metaphor or a shift in your consciousness. Finally, you drink the water from the desired reality cup. As you drink, you are supposed to feel that new reality becoming a part of you, to embody the feeling of already having creative flow and opportunity. Then you tear up the current reality label, get rid of it, and put the desired reality cup somewhere you can see it. And then comes the most important part. You have to let it go. You don't get obsessed. You just go about your day, trusting the shift has happened, and you watch. I'll admit, standing in my kitchen doing this, I felt pretty ridiculous. I was pouring water, talking to myself, and fully expecting absolutely nothing to happen. But I was committed. So I suspended my disbelief, drank the water, and started the 24-hour clock. The first few hours after the 2 cup ritual were normal, totally, completely, predictably normal. I went back to my desk, combing through the projects that I was working on in my then current company. And I was not happy with it. And most importantly, I was not resonating with the product. I was in general feeling that I was going through the motion in selling these products. But somehow, internally, I started feeling that I will be doing something that is close to my heart. And it is about to arrive. Well, that was a bust. I felt a little foolish, but also smug into my skepticism. Then I had lunch, answered my emails. The day felt exactly like any other day. But then, about 3 hours in the first, weird thing happened. I was tidying up my bookshelf, which you are seeing behind, which I love to do. It's a chore, but I have been avoiding for weeks. As I pulled out some old notebooks, one fell and flopped open on the floor. It opened into a page I had totally forgotten about. A note that I wrote on Miracles of Water by Masaru Emoto. Suddenly, a thought flashed. What if I could do something related to water? A jolt of energy shot through me. This idea had been delivered right to my feet. This new thought, a coincidence on the quantum jumping method, I did. Almost certainly, my brain was probably just primed to look for solutions because of the ritual. Psychologists would call it confirmation bias. Your brain's RAS or reticular activating system starts filtering reality to show you things that match your focus. But the feeling was different. I didn't feel like I solved a problem. It felt like a solution was given to me. Then I grabbed the Masaru Emoto's book and started reading again, completely lost in a state of flow. This was the polar opposite of the stagnant and uninspired reality I had started. Later that day, another shift. I got a call out of blue from an entrepreneur. He was asking if I'm interested in a project which is related to water. Wow. The project was interesting, but the truly bizarre part was the subject. It was almost a perfect match with the idea that was delivered to my feet. Water. An ambitious idea from the notebook that had fallen just a few hours earlier. It was exactly the kind of opportunity I would be wishing for, but I had done nothing to find. The timing was so precise. It felt unreal. Again, my skeptical brain went into overdrive. It's a coincidence or is it a fluke? But this feeling of being in a new current was getting harder to ignore. The quantum jumping philosophy says that once you shift, the universe rearranges itself around your new frequency and sends you synchronicities. While vibrational frequency is not a physics concept, the experience really did feel like I had changed the radio station of my life. The old static was gone and a new, clearer signal was coming. That evening, I went to gym, still trying to process everything. I was listening to a podcast and the guest, a neuroscientist, started talking about rapid neuroplasticity. He explained how focused intention combined with an elevated emotion can create new neural pathways almost instantly. It changes how you perceive the world. He was basically giving a scientific framework for what felt like a mystical experience for me. At that exact moment, felt like the universe was winking at me. The core of the experience was not that the outside world, me, had changed. I didn't wake up in a different house. The profound shift was internal. My perception had changed. The feeling of being stuck had vanished, replaced by a sense of possibility and momentum. The world felt like less like a solid block of granite or more like a flowing river of potential. The stagnant and uninspiring block that had owned me for 3.5 years had just evaporated. It felt like I had finally gotten out of my own way. Waking up the next morning after the 24 hours, where I just felt clear the experiment was over, but something had fundamentally changed, and it was not magic. I had literally jumped into a parallel universe. That story, while cool, is a misinterpretation of quantum theory. There is no scientific evidence that our consciousness can travel between realities. My big realization, the true shocking result, was this: quantum jumping is not about changing the world, it's about changing the observer. In quantum physics, the observer effect says that the act of measuring a particle changes it. Now, it's a huge leap to apply that in our everyday lives, but the metaphor is incredibly powerful. By doing that ritual, I had changed my point of observation. I went from being an observer looking for proof that I was stuck to an observer looking for proof of creative flow. And because I was looking for it, I started finding it everywhere: the notebook, the phone call, the podcast. Did pouring water in a cup cause these events? My rational mind says no, they were coincidences that my brain, newly primed by ritual, decided were deeply meaningful. It's a classic self fulfilling prophecy. But does that make the experience any less real or powerful? Absolutely not. Were based on literal interpretation. I was looking for external proof, but the real shift was psychological. The two cup method was a powerful tool that gave my subconscious mind clear command. It was a ceremony marking a decision. I was no longer going to be the person who was stagnant and uninspired. I was choosing to be the person defined by creative flow and opportunity. The ritual bypassed my cynical brain and spoke directly to the deeper part of me that responds to stories and symbols. It created a clean break from my old narrative. So was it real? The results were. The shift in my creativity was real. The new opportunity was real, which I took. The change in my emotional state was profoundly real. The mechanism might not be what some people claim, but the effect is undeniable. It's a powerful trick for restructuring your own mind and instructing your own beliefs. So, what's my final verdict on quantum jumping? Though I had got results in the past, maybe fluke or coincidence, I started as a firm skeptic, and while I haven't abandoned science, my perspective has definitely expanded based on the result I got. While test it consciously this time. I got into what I want. Now I am into water business in a state of flow, and I love what I do. Quantum jumping, as I experienced it, is a potent form of psychological alchemy. It's a way of using ritual and intention consciously. Choose the story you want to live inside. The most important thing that happened were those subtle shifts, the sudden creative burst, the feeling of flow, and the weird coincidences that all seemed to say you are on the right track. They weren't massive miracles, but they were enough to completely shatter the cycle of stagnation I was in there. The true jump was from a mindset of limitation to one of possibility. It's convinced me that we have way more influence over our reality than we think, not by magically changing the world out there, but by changing the lens we use to see it. And now, I really want to hear from you. Have you ever tried quantum jumping or anything like the two cup method? What was your experience? Were you a skeptic or a believer or somewhere in between? Let me know your story in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you enjoy this little experiment and want to see me test out more of these wild personal growth techniques, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so I don't miss what's next. Thanks for coming on this strange and unexpected journey with me. Until next time, keep open minds and let's create abundance.